What up, nerds? It's Jason here from Custom Cans, and today I've got a couple of pairs of headphones from KiwiEars again. What I thought would be interesting is comparing the two, because these are both, at the moment, a similar kind of price. So you got the Elipse and the Astral, and I think Astral's about 69. This one's normally 75, but it's down to 60. So they're both in the same ballpark. They're both open ear. They're both from the same company. I think this one's geared more towards studio. This one's kind of studio and hi-fi. But they're both pretty reasonably priced, sort of 60, 70 quid, which I think it's a good ballpark figure for kind of an entry-level, good-to-listen-to pair of headphones. And I've also grabbed the Beyerdynamic DT900 Pro X, as that's kind of got a nice flat studio headphone sound signature, open back, so it's probably, similar kind of target market, but these are around the £200. They're probably 2 or 3 times as much money. But yes, let's get these out and have a look and see what they're all about. Okay, so if we start off with the Ellipse, I believe this is. Okay, so most of the packaging is cardboard. You've got a plastic bag on those, but it feels like that slightly biodegradable plastic, which so it might be slightly better for the environment. Delicious desiccant, and a tiny little instruction manual. You think it wants to be a full-size instruction manual when it grows up, but anyway, it's just a little user manual and warranty card. But obviously, headphones, you plug them in, you stick them on your head. Happy days, you don't need too much information. That's gravy. And the cable, which looks all right. So you've got a little cloth-covered cable here with a Y splitter going to 2 3.5s. So that's that. So you've got equal length and you've got a 6.3mm adapter on there, which is good. Let's get the actual headphones out. So, first impressions. These are one of those headphones that look nicer in real life than they do in the images. So the actual yoke here is quite nice, thick metal. You've got good, nice chunky fasteners in the side here. If you look through there, this did look very plasticky on the pictures, but it's actually got like a metal mesh inside. The ear pads feel pretty good. Nice, squishy, little bit memory foamy. Yeah, so overall, these look nicer in real life than they do in the images that they had on their website. They're quite light. Nice lightweight. They look like they're pretty durable. You've got a little bit of rotation on the ear cups. Clicker is pretty positive. Yeah, clicks okay. It's like not the best, but it's okay. You definitely get some clicks in there. These shoulders feel a little bit plasticky, but sure they do the job. And then just a basic headband. So that's the Ellipse. Let's get the other ones out as well. So these ones are the Altruve. And again, similar kind of thing with the mostly cardboard packaging. Again, same sort of cable arrangement, and you got a tiny little instruction manual in there as well. Cool. So on these ones, again, yeah, similar kind of weight, pretty light. These have got much thicker ear pads on there with holes cut out on the inside. And as you can see, this is a suspension strap style one, so it's going to kind of auto adjust and probably be a bit more comfortable than the other one, just because it will conform to your head a bit better. But again, good chunky bits of metal. This is all one continuous piece of spring steel, which is quite interesting. Same fasteners, nice fasteners on there. Metal grille. Overall, pretty good. Like they feel pretty solid. These ones don't really have a lot of rotation. Like you've got a little bit of spring in the headband, but you haven't got a lot of articulation in the ear cups. So what we'll do is we'll just have a quick look inside each of them, because I think they've both got a 50mm driver. Same kind of price. Just interesting, just targeting 2 different markets. But we'll see if they got the same driver. Is there anything weird inside? Let us have a peruse. So I'm going to remove the pads, hook my finger underneath there, remove that. Underneath, got a foam disc that's stuck down by the look of it, so I'll yank on that. But that will have been there to reduce some of those higher frequencies, I suspect. Yeah, so different pads on these. These are similar to the Bairdynamic, where you've got holes in the underside there. Yeah, they do look similar to Bairdynamic pads. They're probably the same size. So, inside we've got double stack foam in there. And then there's that metal mesh I was talking about. You can see the metal mesh in there. Reasonable socket, all screwed in. Seems pretty good. So yeah, so it is a big old driver. I think it said 50mm on the website. Yeah, 50mm-ish on there. What I'm noticing as well is on the back here, obviously you've got the foam over the hole in the magnet, and then here, so often drivers will have a hole punched in them, but this one's actually got a little mesh screen over it, and that might be to kind of restrict the airflow a little bit than just having an open hole, but also it'll stop dust from getting inside on an open back. That might be a good thing, but yeah, it definitely shows an additional bit of love. Shows that they have done some tuning on these by the look of it, you know, with the double stack of foam and that, and then a different foam material over the driver there. So yeah, it doesn't look like they've just kind of thrown them together. They've done a bit of tuning on there. This has got an R marked on the inside, so they won't be symmetrical. There'll be a left and a right one. Got a little nut on the inside. So yeah, it's pretty solidly put together, pretty decent. Yeah, it doesn't say what this is made of, but I don't think it's not nylon. Probably ABS plastic on there. So I'll just put these back together. Oh, has it got a triple stack of foam? Ooh, that was two stuck together. Yeah, so even though this is an open back, because you've got quite a lot of foam in there, it's probably not going to sound as open, because you had a lot of foam damping in there. The Altruve. How does this one come apart? So it pads off, but I'm not seeing any screws underneath. Oh, it's a twist. I'm being an idiot. It's twist. Right. Feel like a plum now. Right. Now we've revealed some screws after I've nearly ruined it trying to unclip something that was a twist. So again, there's a felt pad, a different kind of pad over the front, so different density than the other one. Inside, again, no foam, just some fabric there. So these are going to be a bit more open. Slightly different socket arrangement, but again, all screwed in. The driver looks pretty much the same, but you can see we've got different tuning on this one. I suspect it's the same driver, but this one you've got a hole punched there. You haven't got the foam over the magnet. You've got a different material over the hole there. So it's not a mesh, it's more of like a foam. Yes, interesting. Yeah, so some different tuning on this driver. Same driver, but I suspect they're going to sound quite different. This one's probably going to be a bit more open, maybe a bit brighter. Let's put these back together and we will have a listen and do some graphs. Yeah, overall, pretty good, you know, 60, 70 quid. These ones certainly look the business, don't they? The other ones, I'm not 100% certain about the looks, but these ones look a bit fancy. You have to excuse my hair, it's in the in-between state. Sundays, I wake up, I'm a full Mugatu. That was quite interesting. So I had listened to the Altruve first, and they weren't for me, if I'm honest, and I was a little bit worried about the other ones, the Elipse. But then I had listened to the Elipse. They're great. I like these. Yeah, so the Altruve, it's definitely a peak in the mids, which is popular on some kind of Chinese headphones for some reason, brings the voices forwards, you know, probably good for audiobooks, but overall the balance wasn't quite there. It was quite spiky and just a little bit all over the place, really, sound wise. But these ones, the Ellipse, those actually sounded pretty good. Yeah, I was comparing them to the DT900, and yeah, they're in the ballpark. They're not. They would be a much better studio headphone, and generally I think sound a bit nicer. So two KiwiEars headphones, similar kind of price. These ones look the business. You know, if you're in a coffee shop, you're going to look pretty sophisticated wearing these. Whereas these ones just sound better. And what was really nice is they've got a huge hole in the ear pads there, so my big old lug holes all fit in there. So yeah, I found those very comfortable. The pads didn't press on my ears like this. It's just a standard headband, but it was fine. The clamping force isn't too high. The clamping force is lower than they are on the DT900s. I thought comfort-wise, these were good. Sound-wise, these were good. So, yeah, out of the two of them, this would be my pick, I think, if you're not just going for looks. But let's do a graph and we'll see, because, yeah, I'm quite interested. There's something going on in the mid-range with these ones. There's a big lump or a spike or something there that's throwing things off a little bit, especially if you're listening to stuff with female voices, that kind of thing. It's all a bit too in your face. Cool. Right, let's have a butcher's. Hokey pokey. Okay, so if we have a look at the Altruve first, yeah, you can see that kind of hump between sort of 2 and 3K. I think that's where it was. It's all pretty much on a level. You haven't got any big treble spikes, so it's not a very fatiguing kind of harsh sound. But yeah, that hump there between 2 and 3K, I think, is just bringing the voices forwards, especially as you've got a dip either side. It just makes it very prominent, like right around your upper vocal range, higher pitched voices, that kind of stuff. It's just, yeah, wasn't for me. Bass wise, kind of starts to roll off about 70 hertz and goes down. You haven't got a hump in the bass, so it doesn't sound muddy. I think the main problem with this is that hump between 2 and 3K. Would like a bit more sub bass, maybe a bit more treble. But yeah, that's the main thing with those. Let's have a look at the Elipse, if I call that up in green. So here's the Elipse. So this has got a bit more of a tilt down and then a hump in the treble, so it's a kind of a more pleasing sound. You've also got more sub bass. Like, it does start to kind of roll off, it drops down at 100 hertz, but then it levels off. It goes pretty level. So down to 20 hertz, you've still got a decent amount of kind of information there. It doesn't just drop off to nothing there. And then you've got a couple of peaks around kind of 8K and stuff in the treble, which is kind of similar to what you get on a Beyerdynamic. But yeah, you've definitely got more of a tilt down in the mid-range, so it's kind of a V-shaped tune on those. But I think that's more pleasing to listen to. A lot of people like a V-shaped. You get a lot of bass, a lot of treble. And then if we compare that to if I get the DT990 up on the same thing, so the Elipse is going to be green, the DT900 in blue. Get that up, and you can see the DT900 very flat. So if you are using it for studio head use, all the way from 20 hertz up to 2K, pretty much flat. Then you've got that weird 4K dip, which the Pro X ones, the 900 and the 700 have. And then you've got your hump in the treble around sort of 8K. So yeah, so that they won't sound as bassy just because flatter rather than dropping down in the mids. But yeah, like the 900, you're paying twice as much, but they're probably twice as good for studio use. But for an entry-level studio headphone, I think they are okay. They're very comfortable. You could use them for a long time. They feel like they're built like a tank, so they're going to put up with a lot of abuse. I'd say reasonable price. At the moment, I think they're just over £60 on KiwiEars website, but normally £75. That's reasonable. I think, yeah, sub £100 pair of studio headphones, they're okay. Or I suppose for gaming, they'd be pretty good for that as well. £60-70, you've got some decent sound out of those, and they're open back, so it'll give you positioning. Pretty good. Yes, so there we go. That's the KiwiEars Altruva and Elipse. And personally, Elipse, because they're in the same kind of price range, the Elipse sounds better, is more comfortable. But yes, thank you very much, KiwiEars, for sending these out for us to have a listen to. I hope you found that interesting. Please stick a comment down below. Take your time to subscribe, give us a like, something like that. A little bit of interaction for the algorithm always helps. But yes, yeah, those ones, not those ones. You know, I'm never very down on headphones, but I didn't like the sound of these ones. I did like the sound of these ones, so I'm really glad they sent us both and we compared them, because that's a nice pair of headphones. I can recommend those. They're good. Right, cool. Lovely work. I'll see you guys again.